I'm really proud of where we've been. I am excited about where we're going. I'm really thankful that we've sustained.
We've done this once a week for 2 years. Like, if that ain't consistency, like, that's really freaking cool.
Welcome back and happy Tuesday, turkeys. How long have we known each other?
We've known each other for 2 decades.
I am not apologizing for who I am or what I like or the people that I love.
How do I be a wife? How do I be a mom? And how do I be myself and all of that?
You didn't see that coming, did you? Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday and happy 2-year anniversary of our YouTube channel.
Crazy. 2 years.
It is really weird.
It's been 2 years.
It's funny, the timing, because we did not plan that we were going to do a recap of reorienting ourselves and what's our why and why are we doing this conversation, and then it just so happened to be our 2-year anniversary.
No, I was thinking about it. I was kind of like processing some things, and then I was like, wait, because obviously we've hit our 100th episode. And I'm like, well, 52 and 52 is like almost 100, and we're past 100. So, like, aren't we at our 2 years? So I went back and looked, and it was like, oh, well, this worked out perfectly.
Look at you figuring it out via the math. As you were saying that, it blew my mind.
Really?
Yeah, I just know because you two told me. And because I do our social media, and TikTok does the like on this day video, and they started giving us some from our initial episodes that I did not repost, but I watched. And
Cringe.
Yeah, when I first threw up in my mouth a little bit, and then I was very proud of our progress.
Right? I was literally thinking that too. Like, even just our comfortability on camera via, you would call this like a Zoom Teams meeting type of situation, virtual, whatever. Like, it's different than in person, and I just remember feeling so awkward at the beginning. Oh my gosh, look at us.
Me too. Harkening back to our personality test last week, where it talked about me being the person that's just going to shove myself out there. I think our talking has balanced out now because
yes,
I'm not nervous chattering to fill space, and you are comfortable and have gotten the lay of the land.
Exactly. Because it really was like, it was only the first couple episodes, and then we've slowly gotten a good balance of things.
And a better microphone.
Still working on a better camera, so bear with me. Anyway.
One step at a time. That way, when we get to next year, we can be like, oh, look how good our media got. Okay. Also, our editing has improved. Also, shout out to Riverside that we use to record, because their different features of layouts and camera changes and all of that stuff helps us pretend we can do multicam views when we don't actually.
Exactly. Yes. Such a nice.
Anyway, so as we kind of alluded to, you're just going to kind of do a recap. We just finished our book club. So we just did 12 weeks of 12 Rules for Life by Dr. Jordan Peterson. I feel like it was a good way for us to sort of dip our toe back into more of the sincere realm of conversation topics through his promptings. And we did his personality test on, what was it? Know Yourself? UnderstandMyself.com. That was so fun. I'm still waiting to bribe Jason to do it with me so we can compare our notes, because our comparison that we did was so entertaining. And now we just figured this would be a good time to kind of reorient and kind of remind ourselves why we started doing this in the first place 2 years ago.
Crazy. It is nice, like, because we kind of were really in the book realm of things, and, you know, we like to kind of dip our toe in different topics and let the conversation be open and let life guide us a little bit. So it's kind of nice to add some structure with just literally a book club version. But now it's kind of nice now that we're out of it, I almost feel like it's like you said, it's like a refresh. It's just a refresh button.
Yeah. So when we were originally planning on talking about this, I had just written down a couple of questions, things. I don't know. We may not touch on all of them. God, I'm sorry to everyone for my throat clearing. I think Riverside will automatically cut it out, but I'm recovering from the cough that seems to have plagued most of the households in the U.S. recently. Okay, so the questions I was pondering in the weeks leading up to this episode were, where have we been? Successes, failures, what's our goal, what's our reason, where do we want to be?
I love it. I'm sorry, my almost 2-year-old was trying to open my door. Okay, there we go.
So I was kind of orienting myself around the ideas of where have we been, what are our successes, possible failures, what's our goal, what's our reasoning, and where would we like to be?
I love that. That's a good kind of segmented out bullet point topic points. I would just like blah, 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 blah. You're so much more organized than me sometimes in some ways.
Did you have any initial thoughts you want to share?
Well, I was just thinking how funny it was. I guess where we were, we can start there. Can you hear all my background noise?
Mm-mm.
Okay, good. Where we were 2 years ago. I was trying to remember how we even came to be a podcast. I think we started talking more via Marco Polo because our friend group introduced that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you said like, it would be fun to do a podcast. And I was like, I've always wanted to do a podcast. I even have stuff to do a podcast because I want to do a podcast. But I didn't want to do it alone because, like, what am I going to talk about the whole time? So, yeah, we should do a podcast. But it's funny because a lot of people just talk and don't actually do it. And I was pregnant at the time, right? Yeah.
Can't remember if you were pregnant or if you were. Well, no, you had to have been because you didn't really have a very long trying phase. You were very successful.
I think it was because if we started February, I was pregnant in September, so that's a good 5 months. It didn't take 5 months to take off with our first episode. It was very quick.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right because then you had a him surprise come early.
Yeah.
And I had some surprise solo episodes that I'm not looking forward to popping up on TikTok as a reminder.
But I just think it's so funny and so cool that we like actually went for it and did it in a short period of time before either one of us like got nervous and backed out. And then we just did it. And I'll never forget our first, like, when we were talking about like our name and like a logo. And we were talking like, this is such a good outlet for us. And I literally made an outlet logo with our faces like as the outlets. Do you remember that? Which is funny, but like it's not timeless. So I'm glad we went with what we went. But I just remember drawing that on my iPad. We were just like kind of going back and forth and theorizing what it would look like. And when you picked out the name, it was just like perfect. Everything just fell in line.
I forgot about the early planning phases. I wish we could go back and find some of our initial like sketches that you did for.
I think I have two of the other possible like title or show names, like the picture version. I think I could pull those up. It'd be funny to put those up here.
No, I'm proud of us too. I think both of us have always been good about that because we've talked about this. We always had weird little projects or schemes running when we were in high school or Bible study groups. But we both seem to be, I think both of us are pretty good at setting a goal and following through. I think having a partner in doing that makes it more fun. Yes. And more sustainable, though.
I agree because I've done a lot of like side project hustles, whatever you want to call it, like business avenues, very small business avenues that I've tried. And I get so excited. I do all the things and then I don't know what happens. And I think it's the fear that stops me from continuing to move forward. And when there's two of us, it's like, well, shit. She's doing it too, so I got to do it. Like, I can't back out if she's not going to back out. So it's like a good accountability.
You were so helpful with all of your previous explorations because I wouldn't have known a diddle bit of nonsense where to start. Not a cent. I had no idea what an RSS feed was. It's funny because everyone jokes like everyone has a podcast, and I think it's become a little bit of a cultural trope. I don't know. I don't mind leading in. I recognize that it's ridiculous and there's 500 million of them, but it's really also, it's easy to start. It's accessible, but it's also not that easy.
Correct. It's more complicated than we originally believed. Like there's a lot of things that go into it, which is why I understand why people have ads.
Yeah. I will never forget the first time that when the first episode released and seeing it in my
car.
Yes, it was so surreal. It was so funny. Anyway, my first note of sort of like, speaking of which, I'm still working on not saying like, my first thought in my reflection was a confession, not a confession. Also, I don't mean it really as a failure. Unrealistic expectations that I totally thought that if we just stuck it out and posted things consistently for a year, we would be generating money at this point.
I understand. And luckily, because I've gone through some trials and errors on my own with other ventures, I kind of figured it wouldn't, even though that is the goal still, and we will remain to aim high. I feels you.
I'm
I
not
feels
not disappointed at this juncture. I'm really proud of where we've been. I am excited about where we're going. I'm really thankful that we've sustained. I feel very thankful to you that you sustained this through pregnancy and the birth of your first child. I'm not surprised that you stuck it out, but it's surprising as a general concept.
For sure. No, I get it. I get it. And
Does
I
that
remember
make
you were
sense?
like,
I was like,
is she
are we
gonna?
still good?
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. It
Hello?
wasn't, there wasn't like any hesitation in my head. It was just like, oh, I definitely need some time off, but then I want to keep going. And that'll lead into like my why and what I get out of this, like selfishly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel you.
So if you would have back then when we first started said this is on the monetary side that there would be no traction or that to be honest I am thankful for our followers and the ones that we have and how much our channel has grown because I think we have and we're starting to build a little bit of a base and have some interactions and building a community, which is
So crazy.
what I was hoping for because we're definitely not doing it just to make money, but it would be cool to pay for itself as a starting point. Anyway, it's just funny. My concept of what that looked like it was completely wrong, which is really in keeping with my personality because I don't know. I think I just make up delusions about things being successful, which helps me stick them out. And then other things come into play that are gratifying. And then it just continues to have its own momentum. But this is just like when Jason and I do a house project. For example, when we redid our floors and sanded them down and refinished them, I was the hype man on let's get it started and let's do it and let's plan it out and pull the trigger. And in my brain, it was going to take 2 days and it definitely took a full week. And when we were halfway into the project, I was sitting on the floor sanding, thinking to myself, this is a much bigger project than I thought. No wonder Jason was hesitant to start it. But once we're in it, once I'm in something, I can keep going. That's not a problem. So I guess my delusions help me start. And then once I'm there, I'm just in it, ready to go.
It totally makes sense. You reminded me of this podcast that's highly famous at this point, Modern Wisdom. Have you heard of him? I forgot his name, but regardless, I was listening to his podcast and he's like, everyone thinks I'm such a good podcaster, which I guess I am at this point. Is that he said it way more eloquently. But the fact of the matter is, he basically was doing one podcast every whatever week. And he's like, I need exponential growth. So he started doing one like every other day. And of course, if you do, the more you do, the better you'll get. And if you do them in a shorter period of time, you're going to exponentially grow. Well, we don't have the luxury of doing that because we have families and full-time jobs. But it just gives me some hope that's like, we have come so far, and even though we can only do this once a week, we've done this once a week for 2 years. Like, if that ain't consistency, like, that's really freaking cool.
I know we haven't even had any breaks of any kind.
I know. I told someone that, and they're like, that's really impressive. I was like, thanks, I know. I'm freaking impressed too. Like, it'd be easy to be like, we're not a huge channel. We'll just skip this week.
For sure.
But I like that we've never done that, and that's not our mindset.
I like that we take it seriously because we're serious about our goal, and we're not doing it just because for attention or for numbers. Right. Those, which I think, again, it gets back to my whole mantra in life. If you do the right thing and the next right thing, then the benefits come, but you don't necessarily know what that looks like or when or the timing, and you don't have control over that. So you just focus on you doing what you're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. Which I suppose, so this kind of gets into the goals, at least for me when we first started, of having a creative outlet, which gets to our outlet logo that we were starting off with when we were first brainstorming, and for us to be able to stay connected through doing some kind of a joint project. Mm-hmm. And then I know when we were initially talking to, I think because both of us are employees, albeit for different organizations, we both felt like we wanted to have a space where we could talk things out and explore ideas and ask questions and be vulnerable and not worry about backlash, which, I mean, we get it on the internet. I don't care about that. But for you and I to be able to talk about topics that maybe we have, I don't know, we don't disagree a whole lot on things, but to be able to look at them from 2 different points of view and explore different things. That for me, that was really the core of why we started or why I wanted to start this.
100%. 100%. I literally wrote down, I never really considered myself creative because I don't like to paint or draw, which is silly because I like other artistic things or creative things, I should say, like dancing and music. I just never thought of myself as creative, but it's fun now getting into a creative project where we're coming up with topics and strategizing things. But again, I go to like business brain a little bit more. But then it's like the logos and the thumbnails, and it's been so fun to have a creative outlet for selfishly on my side for myself, like outside of family and work and daily stuff, daily responsibilities. So 100% it was about the perfect excuse to hang out with my best friend every week and talk. But more than that, because we have to plan and do shit outside of this weekly thing. So we're talking all the time and talking more and just having something like for myself that's not a mom or wife or employee. You know what I'm saying? Which is so nice.
I didn't realize how big of a deal that would be for me until we got into this because I've always been an employee and it's funny, you never considered yourself as a creative person, which I would argue you're very creative, and even just the business innovation side of things is a creativity unto itself. It just doesn't get recognized as such. I would have never considered myself someone to do, I don't know if business is the right word, but to do my own venture. I just got into a career and a job that put me in the role of an employee, and I never thought that I would be bothered by that or want to have something that was my own until we started doing this. And now, if this were to take off and to be something that could be self-sustaining as an income source, I wouldn't blink an eyeball at leaving employee life. And doing something independently. And I think it really, on my own little piddly version, it helps me understand my husband's difficulty with going from owning a company and a business and running a crew of a large number of employees and having the lateral say so to make decisions and to be creative within a business sense and have that control over things. Why it was so hard for him to go to being an employee, and especially an employee in a community hospital where healthcare decisions are nonsense. Watching him understand how logistics work and having been a person that used to be able to make logistical decisions, having to sit there and watch a hospital decide to not prioritize staffing, but to hire someone to talk about hand washing. Anyway.
Yeah, 100%. Going back to your first point though, like you're kind of surprised that you would like go off on like a business adventure. But when you think about it, you've done things, you've created things and started things like the knitting at Starbucks group. I remember that. You completely, I know we were both doing it, but like you completely started the like, I forgot what that place was called. We did Bible study.
Oh yeah, our little Sunday night Bible study, then our Wednesday morning Perkins Bible study.
Who created that and took it off the ground? You. Yeah, so you've always had it in you.
Money.
Well,
I think that's what it is on the money side. That's
well,
why I need you, because I would just float around and never consider the possibility that you could turn something you love into a way to sustain your life. And then Kayla's out here talking about, what's it called? Affiliate links and all this other shit. Kayla blew my mind when this started. I would still have no idea. And you know why? Because I don't have the attention span to watch YouTubes and learn about it. So thank you again.
That's why we're a good team. Because sometimes I go too far. I'm like, I like to walk on the beach. How do I make that money? Like it's almost like, okay, just have some hobbies and relax.
That's the other thing. I never felt like I had a hobby before.
Yeah.
And
Like
as much as
and working out is not a hobby. Everyone's like, what do you like to do outside of work? I don't fucking know.
I know, that's just me sustaining myself so that I'm not an evil little demon when I encounter people. Okay, I'll be honest, I don't want to stand up and tell people, yeah, I have a podcast. Because it sounds really annoying. It sort of sounds similar to someone saying that they're involved in CrossFit or they're a vegan or they're, I don't know, one of the weird culty, quote unquote, religious things that are questionable.
Yep.
What? That's how it sort of feels. But also it is really nice that my hobbies aren't watching Netflix.
Right.
I mean, I have a thing that I do that we do together that's engaging and interesting, and I have a creative outlet, and I love writing, and this has been such a fun way to be back in that kind of a headspace. Anyway, yeah, so fun, so entertaining.
I love it. I love it.
I don't know if my dogs are in frame or not, but They're
I can
obsessed with
see
me
the
this
little
morning.
nose boop. But yeah, so the other thing, so now that we're in it and we've grown so much, we're still gonna come back to this episode and listen one day and be like, and like we're gonna get so much better. But I do love that we have the creative outlet, but also it's nice to hone a different skill, like talking, knowing that you're gonna hear your voice back, and also the vocabulary, which I know we still need to work on, and I need a lot of work. It's the just saying stupid things when I could be more eloquent, especially after reading Jordan Peterson. God, I got a lot of work to do. But anyway, it's just cool to like hone a different experience, and you get better at talking. Obviously, like when we're recording, it's just me and you on a camera, but you still know that it's going to be out on YouTube and out on social media and in my ear holes. So it's cool to try to practice that
Yeah.
skill.
It's funny. We were doing this for about a year when I applied for a different position within my agency. And I remember doing the interview, which was virtual, and the camera wasn't even on.
Wow.
I don't know. It was just funny. It felt so low stakes
Mm-hmm.
because we've been doing this and talking. And then, like you said, I have to listen back to myself, which I still dissociate a little bit when that happens. And I don't enjoy listening to myself. I do crack myself up and I think we're hysterical. Anyway, I remember doing that interview and feeling so unbelievably comfortable just yapping because and then I thought about it. We talk every week for 30 to 45 minutes about various topics with, slight notes but directed and intentional
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature. And it was funny afterward, one of the supervisors reached out. She goes, "You are a great interviewer." And
I love
I
that.
think I've always been good at talking on my toes and
You are,
bullshitting.
for sure.
I think, what's it called? Testifying at my last job was being put through the ringer on pressure and speaking clearly under pressure and
For
not saying too
sure.
much because you can really talk yourself into a hole.
Mm-hmm.
But this has been another, like you said, great way to develop those skills and to be aware of what I'm saying and to be aware of saying like and some of the different things that I do, as well as the vocal fry, which everyone has lovingly pointed out that I have tried to work on because I don't want to sound like a valley girl bimbo. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Let me just read not read, but let me just kind of touch on the goals that I had as
Mm-hmm.
we sort of close out. But so I said what it was starting out, which I think have still remained in place. Above all, I want this to be a creative outlet that you and I have a joint project on, and that we have a place where we can ask questions and explore topics. Is your child coming?
He's fine. Kenny's got him.
And then my big one for us and for myself was to stay independent so that we're never beholden to anybody else for the things that we discuss and the things that we want to discuss. And
We will
while we
never.
have to,
Sorry.
yeah.
I
And
feel very strongly about that.
okay, well, good, me too. I mean, I figured you did. I want us to be smart about trying to be intentional about growth with the social media platforms, but not letting ourselves become beholden to the algorithm, because I think that in a way is sort of a way of losing your independence if that becomes too much of the focus. And just to stay genuine and honest in our approach to topics and do things that we're truly interested in doing and talking about, because I'll get real. It's about the art, man. But I do think people are drawn to something that's real. And as more and more augmented reality and AI chatbots and all this other stuff start to
Should be
become a
illegal.
thing,
Yes.
I just
Sorry.
sort of think having something real and genuine is going to become more appealing to people, hopefully, or at least more needed.
Yes. No, I 100% agree. What I had kind of thought processed out was like to have an open forum type of conversation and to advocate for the continuation of open conversations, asking questions, and having the right to change our minds and talking about things that maybe not everyone agrees with or maybe we don't agree with entirely, but we have the right to talk about those things and to be able to explore topics that maybe people don't want to talk about and still having an open and authentic conversation, which is the root of humanity, is to have conversations.
and being willing to be wrong
Yes.
in the moment of discussing something while you're figuring something out, which I think has been a good process lesson with making this podcast, because we've talked about this. We're not going to be similar to a podcast that's been operating for 10 years on the professionalism level. So being where you are and being at the stage that you're at and recognizing that it's better than you were yesterday, and that doesn't mean that you're done improving, and all of that's fine.
Yep. 100%.
And then I always like to list out values, or I don't know. I like orienting myself around those kinds of things. But I outlined honesty, vulnerability, and genuine openness to new ideas / alternative perspectives. And obviously, we're both in our 30s and we're both white women, and we grew up with a so similar socioeconomic status. We both grew up in the Midwest. There's lots of similarities that we have, but I think we still have enough differences of being introvert and extrovert, and mom and not a human mom, and even you being tall and me being short despite my mental illness, where I think I'm the same height as everyone, and you have short blonde hair and mine's long and dark. I don't know. I like that we have some opposites so that we look at things from a different point of view, and we're able to discuss those in an open manner, and maybe hopefully model curiosity in conversation, because it's so much better than standing on a soapbox and hollering at people. And I think there's a lot more growth that happens when you do that, and it's good for me.
I was going to say, not only do we want our podcast to grow and continue to improve, like I want to continue to grow and improve, and having these types of conversations with someone who, like, we have undying respect for each other, and we can disagree and not be all butthurt about it. Not like I think we've ever had anything like, oh my gosh, she thinks that. But like we can talk through things, and it can give me a different perspective. And just having these conversations not only hopefully will grow our podcast, but it grows me in my own self.
Yeah, definitely. And that was kind of my last touch point, was just my hope that we continue to grow and expand our community through that conversation, and continue to be a place where we can have discussions and talk about things that are difficult, and what stage of life we're in, and what's going on in the world. And shout out to our regulars on YouTube, our mom to Nan, who is just warms my heart with the comments. I can't remember what I was complaining about on YouTube in a clip, but then she said, just wait until birth. I should have pulled it and read it, because, it was when I was complaining about the OBGYN. And she was like, girl, you have no idea. It gets so much worse when you have kids. And I should have taken a screenshot and sent it to you, because I was like, I'm sure Kayla's experienced this. But our mom to Nan friend, and our one dull geek that we've been shouting out for forever, and our little buddy Frank.
I just happened to look at the last episode with our 12 Rules of Life, and I just have to say, he commented like 13th rule, follow these wonderful women, or something like that, and I cried a little bit. It was so cute. It was literally so cute.
I know, especially considering that where we started was where he said not bad for a pair of old lesbians.
Wait, what considers us old? Are we old?
No, he's definitely older than we are.
Oh god, that's
no
funny.
offense.
I forgot about that.
God.
Take it out.
I might be making an assumption. No, anyway,
it's hard to tell by a little profile picture.
It's so true.
Don't be mad.
I think I have associated ages for certain things or opinions. Anyway, it's just so funny that we've gotten to have these kind of cool comment connections with 3 YouTubers who are completely from different backgrounds, and then there's still commonalities. It's just this little glimmer of what I'm hoping we continue to build, and I'm thankful for their continued engagement, because sometimes even just the 3 of them commenting regularly, I think to myself, why of all the content in the earth are you still listening to us? I have a real fight with imposter syndrome every time we upload something and every time someone comments.
I know. I'm like, they're still watching and commenting? Like,
yeah.
Thank you.
Like, are you sure you want to do this? Thank you. Every time my aunt listens to our podcast, I go, thank you so much. She's like, you're welcome. Like, no, you have no idea. I have a hard time listening to myself, so thank you. Other side note, I never thought I would enjoy being a troll so much.
Well, you're good at it too.
But that has been a weird side outlet of aggression that I never knew that I needed.
I think it's like the equivalent of me going to do like a kickboxing class, like you commenting. I just want to tell everyone, well, if it's no surprise, Kaylee 99.9% of the time is behind the comments, and I freaking love it. and you deserve all the credit because they're freaking great comments.
It's so fun. If it ever impedes my mental health, I'll listen to the advice of Joe Rogan, who's probably the OG podcaster who says that you shouldn't read comments, but I don't know. For
We're
right
still
now, it's
trying
sort
to
of
grow
fun.
engagement too, so fuck it.
It's true, but I had no idea how fun it would be to just, when people say something rude, to just genuinely respond to them. I sometimes just write, thank you for educating me. I am sort of thanking them because it's funny and I'm laughing inside. And then I think the last note that I wrote to myself was sort of coming to terms with the fact that I love bro energy. I listen to a ton of guys, masculine energy podcasts. I really enjoy them. I love bro culture. I loved working in a male-dominated space. I no longer do. It's hard. But also that I'm not a man, so I can embrace the fact that I enjoy those things, but there's room for... I am slowly starting to learn and embrace and recognize what it means to be feminine and vulnerable and what that means in my life and what that looks like to me, and getting to a place where I truly want to support women in whatever that looks like, which doesn't mean that I have to wear rainbows and butterflies and be really into The Bachelorette. But I don't know. I think that's something that's still flourishing, but I just kind of thought to myself, there are a lot of male mentorship type podcasts, and maybe I only am aware of those because that's what I listen to, and then I find more things similar to that, so it's kind of hard to get off that vein. But I'm hoping that we can be a place to talk about things, or what it's like to be a woman, or what it's like to be a millennial woman, what it's like to not have kids, what it's like to have kids, to be married, so on and so forth. I'm still gonna like dirty jokes and probably will never lose a little bit of my aggressive energy, which is fine. Does that make sense?
Yin and yang. Yes, 100%. Because I'm also like, I'd rather hang out with guys, like our guy friends. It's more fun to do that than to sit around the kitchen table and talk to the girls. No offense. I listen to all podcasts with men, and I don't know why, but now that you said that, I completely don't listen to female podcasts, which is interesting. But I feel like because we're not all girly bachelorette, which is not a bad thing. But I think we like that dark humor and we like the realist that usually men bring to the conversation. So I'm hoping we can do that, but in our female angle and context, and bring both of those things in a not annoying way.
Yeah. And that was, I think, what I was getting at was I don't want to try to pretend to be a man because I'm not one.
Correct.
And I don't want to try to pretend to recreate something that already exists from bros. I also think there are a lot of women that are similar to us with similar energies. I would like to gather and find them. I also appreciate the girly girls.
Yes.
I will never forget meeting one of my friends, Allie, and she is the sweetest, girliest, bubbliest person I've ever met, and I needed her in my life. I don't know. It was just so... Anyway, I love women. I love women supporting women. I think all of us could do a better job. I'm happy that we have a non-competitive place to talk about stuff and to be supportive and to explore those kinds of ideas. I love that we have males that listen because it's cool to hear an actual male's perspective, and not my version of what I imagine it to be. And last but not least, I just want to keep having fun.
Oh my God,
because this is so fun.
It's so fun. I'm proud of us.
Too. It's kind of crazy.
It's crazy. 2 years is a long time to do something for every single week.
It really is, and it's crazy that you have had a child.
I think it's kind of wild. And thank you to my husband for allowing me to take time out of my week, aka he usually has our son when we do these things. Now that he's in daycare, I try to drop him off more, but really the support of both of our husbands I know is key, because this does take time. And it is something for us that they respect and support, so that's amazing.
It is. It's nice. Sometimes I wish I could make Jason come on here, but it will never happen.
Oh my gosh. That should be on our goal list, to have each one of them as guests.
That would be so fun. It would be so awkward. Oh my God. You know what else I've learned is that when you just have normal conversations and friendships, you don't always dive into things intentionally. So I've really loved exploring topics because I've learned stuff about you that I had no idea. And we've been friends since 6th, 7th grade.
Really? That's interesting. I guess same.
Every once in a while, I'll have a revelation. Anyway, my tip is just, again, to go to the knowyourself.com and give it a try and figure out your why for yourself.
Love you. Bye.
And I love you. Bye. I gotta go pee again. No surprise.